A $1.5 million interceptor missile shooting down a $20,000 Iranian drone? The internet is obsessed with this piece of math. It's dramatic, it's viral, and makes for great headlines. But for markets and the global economy, that's the wrong math to be focusing on. Today, we're going to look at the real math behind this crisis, the supply gap that pushed crude prices screaming from $67 to over $119 a barrel. In response, the International Energy Agency has deployed what many are calling the emergency bazooka, a record 400 million barrel release from strategic reserves. It sounds enormous, but when you run the numbers, the story becomes far more unsettling. One where even the largest oil release in history may not be enough to close the gap. To understand where the price is going, you have to look at the math of the gap. The global economic machine requires 100 million barrels of oil every single day to remain satisfied. When the Strait of Hormuz closes, 15 to 20 million barrels essentially disappear from the daily flow. Can we bypass it? Only partially. The Saudi East-West pipeline can carry 5 million barrels to the Red Sea, and the UAE's Fujairah pipeline adds another 700,000. That is a total mitigation of 5.7 million barrels. Do the math. A 15 million barrel deficit minus 5.7 million in pipeline capacity leaves a gaping hole of 9.3 million barrels per day. Now look at the emergency bazooka. The International Energy Agency, IEA, just announced an unprecedented release of 400 million barrels from strategic reserves. It sounds massive, it's the largest in history. But here is the catch for traders. Total reserves don't matter as much as daily flow rates. That 400 million barrel stockpile is less than a week's worth of global consumption. If the IEA only releases 2 million barrels a day, the world is still nearly 7.25 million barrels short every 24 hours. This creates a logistical nightmare. Because tankers can't move, producers in the Gulf are literally running out of places to put the oil. They are being forced to shut down oil fields because you can't pump what you can't sell or store. This isn't just a temporary pause. Once a field is shut down or infrastructure is hit by a ballistic missile, repairs can take months or even years. This is what analysts are calling the triple crisis, a situation where every player is paying a bill they cannot afford for long. In the United States, President Trump came to power promising to lower inflation and fuel costs. Now, he faces a $5 per gallon psychological barrier. While he calls the price spike a small price to pay for peace, the political reality of high gas prices is a ticking clock. Israel. They are in a state of industrial paralysis. When you mobilize a nation, the people who should be working in factories are in uniform. Their economy cannot sustain a long-term total mobilization while their industrial base sits empty. Iran. For them, this is a survival crisis. They are deploying relatively cheap drones to drain far more expensive Western interceptors, but sustaining even low-cost drone warfare still requires factories, steel, electronics, and energy. With sanctions and repeated strikes degrading industrial sites and supply chains, the capacity to keep producing weapons is steadily eroding. Over time, the pressure will shift from battlefield tactics to economic survival. The question for the market is, who blinks first? Until one of these bills become too expensive to pay, the stalemate and the volatility will remain. Energy isn't just another commodity. It greases the wheels of the entire global economy. When oil spikes, it's a feedback loop. It hits the cost to fly a plane, drive a truck, and produce the fertilizer needed for agriculture. We are already seeing the friction in the real world. In India, the most exposed major economy, refineries in Mangalore have issued forced measure notices because they cannot honor contracts. India imports 85% of its oil, and its strategic reserves only cover 30 days. In Thailand and Vietnam, governments are urging employees to work from home to save fuel. In the UK and Germany, petrol prices are being clamped down on to prevent multiple daily price hikes. For traders, watch the shadow fleet. Some tankers are turning off transponders and braving the strait in the dark. While this adds maybe 1 million barrels a day back into the mix, it's a drop in the bucket of the total deficit. If this conflict drags on, we aren't just looking at a price spike, we are looking at a structural shift in inflation expectations and a massive slowdown in global growth. So, where is the ceiling? Most experts agree that oil in the $150 to $160 range begins to cause permanent economic damage. But if the strait remains closed for another month, $200 a barrel is no longer a doomsday fantasy. It is a plausible market reality. The Trump administration is floating the idea of military escorts for tankers, but the legal and tactical hurdles are enormous. Under US law, the Navy generally only escorts US-flagged or allied ships. Until the world can figure out how to bridge the 7 million barrel a day gap, we are in a state of epic fury and market instability. The Strait of Hormuz was a gift of geology. Today, it has become the ultimate lever of geopolitical power. As an investor, the question isn't just how high will oil go, it's how long can the global machine run on a deficit. In this triple crisis, the first one to blink will determine the next decade of the global economy. Stay hedged, stay informed, and watch the flows, because in this market, flow is everything.
Ola Prime, trade with transparency.